I don't know her total history, but that she did flee a country, Somalia, and then she comes to the freest country on earth. But her criticism is always kind of like born of like America being oppressive. So she fled a truly oppressive experience and comes here, but sees us as somehow more impressive than anything out there.
First, Kamala Harris takes charge of a problem she doesn't really understand, and then she makes it worse. Let's help women in the workforce. Let's help women in the workforce. Let's help women in the workforce.
Put your way in a trance with her hoochie coochie dance. Di-di di 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 di. Hot dog, hot dog. Hot dog, hot dog.
She says, then proceeds to drive women out of her own office. Let's fix the border crisis, she says, as the wave of illegal migrants becomes a tsunami. Here, take this vaccine, she tells you. It works perfectly. Then she turns to kiss her vaccinated husband while wearing a surgical mask. On one level, it's hilarious to watch all this. They tell us that Kamala Harris is very impressive. But look at her. She's a joke. She can barely get through the day. She has no idea what she's doing. But you can't say that out loud. Shut up and accept Kamala's dominion over you. That's the new rule. Point out that she's a power-hungry buffoon posing as a competent adult, and they will instantly denounce you as a racist.
The New York Times rushed to her defense in a tweet saying she was irresponsibly taken out of context. Her argument was that Trump and many of his supporters have politicized the American flag, and the attacks on her today are ill-informed and grounded in bad faith. Ill-informed and grounded in bad faith. That should be the motto for our show. Again.
We know Democrats are just as patriotic as Republicans, and that should be a uniting factor in this country.
And if I could just say, Alicia, just, I think it's important then, as Democrats then see other Democrats or leftists, people in their party burn the flag or put it on the ground and stomp on it, all of them should then be outraged at the disgrace that's displayed by that party for this American flag. I would hope that more
it's
Democrats
not just Democrats burning flags, Sean, in this country.
Well, yeah, well, I don't know what country you're living in, Kevin, because if you look at the protests in the streets, they're virtually all Democrats that burn flags.
The Nazis at Normandy.
Fue muy buena reunión con la vicepresidenta Kamala Harris. Fue tan buena que le dije presidente.
AMLO's not the only one. The President of the United States calls her president. And in this country, voters have come to the conclusion that, in fact, she is.
So, do you feel like the two political parties don't matter anymore? It seems like now the two competing factions are a malevolent media and the people they call racists. The media makes it clear who they don't like, and it's half the country, the half that shows their love for their country, because that means you must be a racist rube.
For people that would to listen to her, if she had points that she could make that were persuasive about what she's trying to achieve, which I understand would be a homeland for Palestinians.
Yeah.
Is that what she's looking for? That's not what she says.
Yeah.
So basically, it's almost like, for example, Gwen Berry, right, at the podium where when she's getting the medal, or when she got third.
Third.
So,
Katie, you know, it must be challenging for the media who are bending over backwards not to criticize her because, you know, they want her to just shut up. Maybe you can become president and your brother can be first dude. Who knows?
He tweeted recently that actually with the money he spent, he could have given every American $1 million.
I've got it. Let's put it up on the screen. When I read it tonight on social media, it kind of all became clear. Bloomberg spent $500 million on ads. U.S. population, 327 million. Don't tell us if you're ahead of us on the math. He could have given each American $1 million and have had lunch money left over. It's an incredible way of putting it.
It's an incredible way of putting it. It's true. It's disturbing. It does suggest, you know, what we're talking about here, which is there's too much money in politics.
I never get tired of that. I could watch that every day. But let's face it, that was unfortunate. It's like the lady on the subway said to me last night, you shouldn't do that in public. So the flag is evil. The pickup truck is evil. What American symbol could be next? God forbid they go after apple pie. That's as American as a GM factory in China. But as if on cue, in the Guardian newspaper, food writer Raj Patel claims apple pie is racist, for the dessert is linked to a vast and ongoing genocide of indigenous people. Raj claims that apple pie has deep roots in slavery and colonialism based on stolen land, wealth, and labor. Which kind of sounds like China right now, LeBron. He took the trees to mark the frontiers of U.S. expansion, which destroyed the communities. So yeah, Johnny Appleseed was a bad seed. But Raj isn't done yet. So, Grandma, how do you get your pie crust so flaky? Oh, that's an easy one, honey. 2 parts Crisco and 1 part slave labor. Yep, Raj says the sugar in the crust was courtesy of the French slave trade. Better throw out those Kamala cookies.
You know what? The guy makes some good points. I don't want to make anyone angry. No more apple pie for me. After this piece, of course. That's good. You know what? I don't know about this. Oppression is delicious.
The plane was set to leave ahead of Joe Biden's first trip abroad, but was held up for 7 hours. So how did they solve the problem? They called in the one person who could save the day using only her mouth.
Are you ready?
Cheers.
Actually, I'm less scared of this. Okay.
Oh, the crunch.
Do I have a wing hanging out of my mouth?
Yeah, Brianna's eaten so many cicadas that when the temperature hits 90, she emits a loud buzz.
Put your winner trance over hoochie coochie dance. Di-di di 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 di. Hot dog, hot dog. Hot dog, hot dog.
Seems to be, and you know, the one thing that you never hear critics of this country along the lines we've just heard in Anita's report, never hear them cite, is some country which measures up to their standards. You never hear about another country which is doing a better job of it than we had, and there's a reason for that. I can think of no nation on earth, and perhaps no nation in history, that has tried harder or done more to bring its minority populations into the mainstream of the country with all its freedoms and advantages.
What's striking to me is this comes after we've had a 2-term African-American president, and now we have an African-American female vice president, Britt.
That's one more sign of how open this country has become and how much more opportunity is available now to minority populations than ever used to be the case, and that may be the case anywhere else in the world. Being called a racist, labeled a racist, is one of the worst things that can happen to you. That's because the American people simply do not approve of racism. They're against it. And, you know, that's not true in every other country, but it's certainly true here.
That's Preston yelling the N-word, aiming and firing in the direction of a black counter-protester wielding a blowtorch.
No, because I protected people on the steps. That's all I was doing.
But you did say the N-word before you fired that gun.
Can I ask you a question? If
Why?
you're standing in a group of 1,000 black folks.
There wasn't 1,000 black folks around you.
I can't tell you how many there was, but okay, a large group of black people. Okay, how do you get one black man's attention in a crowd full of black people?
Preston says he went to protect a Confederate statue as a member of a militia, but he also wears another hat.
The heck with all these illegals.
That of an imperial wizard of a Ku Klux Klan chapter. For years, he's been trying to rebrand the KKK as peaceful do-gooders, not hate-filled racists.
Do you hate black people?
No, I have friends that are black. Some clans did have a history of terrorizing black folks, but not all clans did. And I've never terrorized a black person in my life.
Why not join the Kiwanis Club? Why not call it something different?
Because,
Why the
again,
Ku Klux Klan?
Because I want to see the Klan become what it once was. What it once was.
I'm an icon, man. out of 10. I should fuck her in a Benz.